Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned seven-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started. For those of you all, whether you are working towards your first six figures or you're already at six figures, like $100,000, $200,000, or maybe at the $300,000 mark, and you are trying to get to your first $500,000 year, this is for you. I had to shift from scarcity thinking to abundance. And what I mean by that is that in the very beginning of my business, I was severely undercharging. If you've heard my story, then you know I took my first book, 20 Pearls of Wisdom, A Woman's Guide to Self-Preservation, and I turned that into a virtual workshop, ran that virtual workshop a second time and charged $10 for it, and then started charging $25 per month for a membership. That's how I got started, and that's one of the things that built my confidence. And then I went from the membership to charging premium, four figures, for publishing services. Now, although I no longer provide publishing services, providing publishing services is what really helped me to grow and scale my income. But there came a point in time when even I had to decide to put that down, because if you know, with any agency, you're going to require a pretty large team, right? Depending on the volume that you're bringing in. And so it was right before the pandemic when I transitioned from agency into coaching. And one of the reasons was because I was doing the same thing all the time. And then we started having authors who were coming back to us for multiple books. And my thing was, let me just show you how to do this yourself, so that way you can have the skill set and you can hire a team or develop your own team to create as many books as you want without ever having to depend on someone else to do it. So essentially, in transitioning from agency to coaching, I wanted to teach people how to fish, so that way they would have their own income stream, an additional income stream, and they would have a way to control their own production without having to depend on someone else. But I had to change how I was thinking about pricing. And so in my early days of coaching, I came out, I think, with my first course charging $797. Then I went up to $1,000, and we sold, at that time it was an Author Made Easy Bootcamp for $1,000 for at least a year. I know that I did a cohort every single quarter, which is how I learned to launch. I taught myself how to launch by doing quarterly income projections. And I said, hey, if I want to bring in X amount of money over the next quarter, then I need to book this many clients. I actually learned that when I was publishing. And then I carried that same strategy over to when I was launching my program. And so we ran the Author Made Easy Bootcamp for probably about a year to a year and a half at the $1,000 price point. And I had people that I bring in to speak, and they were saying, hold up, you're working with them for 8 weeks and you're doing a live event? They were like, do you understand that the live event alone could be $1,000? Do you understand that what you're charging? Basically saying I was undercharging, because I was providing materials, I was providing food for 2 days, in addition to 8 weeks of live coaching. They were leaving out of there with whole entire books and was making four figures, making their full investment back literally within a couple of days of their launches. And so because of the results that I saw clients getting over and over and over again, the people that were like really all in and applying, I said, okay, if I want to get out the rat race, it's really time for me to increase the price. So of course, when I increased the price, I increased it to about $3,000, and then I increased it to about $5,000. And when I went from $1,000 to $5,000, I saw a huge decrease in numbers. At the $1,000 price point, we were having 20, 30 something people every single quarter. And then when I came in with the $5,000 price point, we may have had 4 or 5 people. But the thing about it is, I was still making about the same. I was generating the same level of income, but working with fewer people, which meant that I could work with them more closely and intimately. So it was kind of like an equal trade-off, right? But then we went from there to evolving the program to where it wasn't just about writing the book, but then I started teaching experts how to publish their own books and become their own publisher. And so from writing the book and then depending on someone to publish it for you, now you're learning the skill set to become your own publisher. That was an immediate value increase. And that was what allowed me to start charging upwards of 4 figures, because now you can do this for other people. Now you can do this for any book that you want to, because you have the system to do it. And that alone was worth the increase in the investment, right? So when I went from charging $797, $1,000 upwards of $500, $7,500, $10,000, that allowed our revenues to scale and increase. And what I realized after that is that I started having people come to me and say, hey, I have a book. I want to do what you did. Can you teach me how to create a course from my book? They knew that I could do it because they had seen me running my course for at least a year and a half. And I had already been providing this on the back end for people in VIP days. I was meeting with people. I was meeting with experts and entrepreneurs who were coming to me, just DMing me or reaching out to me. And I was charging them for a full day, a VIP day, where I would help them to turn their whole entire book into a course or a coaching program in one day. And so now that I'm like really leaning into that, like on a massive scale, I've been doing this work for at least 7-8 years, right? But what happened next is that I took it from being a VIP day, and I had 2 people to ask me. It wasn't the first time because I had already been doing it in the VIP days, but I had 2 people who asked me on the same weekend. And I decided, that's how I started the Mastermind. I decided to start a mastermind. At that time, it was 6 months. Now it was a year. And it was to help, originally, it was to help published authors turn their books into group coaching programs and sell it at scale. And that was how I sold my first $15,000 offer. I sold 2 packages in a weekend through the DM without ever getting on a sales call. And I made $30,000 for a 6-month group coaching program. And that set the light bulb off for me. And so after that, of course, we made some adjustments. I ended up increasing the mastermind to a year because, of course, when you create a program, you got to know how to sell it and enroll people, right? And so those types of things take extra time, take extra eyes on your work or whatnot. And so when I looked up, now I had a mid-ticket offer and I had a high-ticket offer. And because I knew how to launch, I could sell it at scale. And those were the things that helped me to transition from selling low ticket and making, low 6 figures to selling, high ticket and making mid 6 figures or upward 6 figures, tapping into the 7 figures. So one of the mindset shifts you're going to have to make is to stop undercharging, and you cannot be afraid to ask for more. But when you are pricing your products and your services beyond your book at higher prices, the value has to be there. You have to be able to explain what the ROI is on that investment and how that translates to someone's life or business. You got to understand that there are always going to be people that are willing to pay for the transformation. There are always going to be people that want the first class seats. Not everybody wants to self-study. There are people who are willing to pay for the step-by-step. There are people who are willing to pay to have you navigate them through it, hold them accountable, answer their questions, review their work. And that comes at a premium because that's tapping into your expertise, that's tapping into your knowledge, that's tapping into your time, and that's leveraging your blueprint, the blueprints that you created for yourself to grow, to have success in your business. And they don't have to spend years figuring it out because now you've laid it out for them like a yellow brick road. That requires an investment, but you also have to make sure that you package it well, and that the system that you're teaching someone is actually going to help them to achieve a transformation. So you've got to value yourself. You've got to make sure that your products and programs are valuable to the client, and you've got to price with confidence.